So I'm sure that you are all aware that there are more rumors about the PS5 Pro. Apparently it's coming somewhere around the end of this year to early next year, which I would guess that's okay. This is a pretty short generation from what it looks like, but regardless, there are a lot of interesting things around it, mainly when it comes down to its performance, its specs, and a lot of the fanboys around it are rubbing it in like it's gonna be true like they did with the PS5 stuff. I'm sure we can all remember about them saying how it's gonna be like 8K, 4K resolution with a 60 to 120 FPS. Well, they're doing that again. It's insane that these motherfuckers genuinely believe it's gonna hit 4 to 8K when, for some of their performance modes, it drops down to 720p to get 120 FPS in most cases. It is insanely bad. And for the actual quality modes that try to hit that 4K, the best they can do in most instances is hit 1440p, and it's insane that they allow that to happen. Like, at this point, I would either just consider that false advertising for most of their modern games hitting a really high resolution. It's just not gonna happen. And for people to believe that this is gonna hit 4 to 8K consistently, it would probably only hit those consistently on an old game. And before someone says, why didn't I mention Xbox? Xbox also has this issue, so don't think it's just a PlayStation issue. It's a problem with the consoles themselves. It's just bullshit advertising where they say all these fancy words but can't actually do it, so don't you worry. So with that all out of the way, we might as well get started with the Fanboy. And we should say this, it's his first time on the channel, it's our favorite resident bald man that I occasionally see on Twitter, XVault. And he has made a roughly 22-minute video talking about this, covering all the Xbox fanboys talking about this situation, which, I don't know, we can make fun of them along the way as well, because some of their takes are pretty terrible. But at the same time, we're just gonna make fun of XVault as well, because he has some horrendous takes as well. That's not really surprising. But I will give him credit. He's one of the only people going out there covering Xbox fanboys, and getting pretty decent views for it for his size of his channel, so I'll give him some credit.
Alright, so like I was saying, we got a lot of good content to go over here, a lot of salt for the Salty Batch Files this edition. Of course, let's start with our favorite one. Let's jump right to it. Not our favorite one. They all seem to be my favorite one because they just all provide such great content. But first, starting with RTX Curator, newly reformed because he's no longer an Xbox curator because PC's the way to go. So, I am 100% biased as Starfield is my favorite game, but the way I see it is the truth of the matter is it's a misunderstood masterpiece.
I'm very proud of you, XVault. We're having the exact same reaction to that statement. I don't want him. He's not a PC player. He has a laptop. Also, note to anyone that ever goes into PC gaming, never get a fucking laptop. That's the worst investment you could do to get into PC gaming. I don't care what anyone tells you. Get an actual PC.
A misunderstood masterpiece. That's what we're going with right now? Okay. Okay. Time will be very generous to it, unlike almost anything released this generation. It's not trying to be something it's not.
Keep in mind, this guy is meant to be a PC fanboy now. RTX Curator, the PC fanboy, and he still talks about Xbox products instead of talking about PC exclusive games, but because he can't name any off the top of his head. Here, I'll name some for you. Dwarf Fortress, Factorio. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I can't name anymore. Those were just two of the quick ones that come to my head. Actually, no, I found more. There's another game called Mortal Sin. You know, the only real ones that I could find, the more just like indie games that don't have the budget to come to another platform, but technically they're exclusive if you think about it, if you put your mind to it.
I didn't want to pull this down and go further because it's just a bunch of nonsense still. You know, again, for the sci-fi folks out there that just truly love it for what it is, for sure. But even I can't go back in some of my, preferred games that may not be on a certain level. I'm not going to go back and be like, it's misunderstood. That's why the general consensus, populace, whatever you want to call it, is not on board with the game. What are we doing here? A misunderstood masterpiece. A misunderstood masterpiece would be a game, in my opinion, like Days Gone.
It really doesn't help your case that you name a PlayStation game, but regardless, I think that is kind of true. Yes, you can go 50-50, you either like or hate Days Gone. Me personally, it looks kind of mid. I don't really have too much interest in it, but yeah, I can kind of agree with him on that one. It's kind of 50-50, but it really doesn't help your case when you name a fucking PlayStation game. You know, the first game that comes to mind for me is Kingdom Come Deliverance. You either like it or hate it. It's got really clunky combat, but it stays true to history, and it's a very out there game. It's one of the only other games that has similar combat to For Honor, which honestly, it's a pretty cool game. I can't wait for the sequel, plus the developers are incredibly based. While everyone else was shit-talking Baldur's Gate, they were out there flexing that they were going to do better than it, and I absolutely love that, because it shows that they have faith in the product that they're going to do, and it's a great way to sell people on their product. Also, I did find the tweet. Here you go. You can pause the video and take a look at it.
Was only hindered by the bugs and the negative critical reception from journalists that got the, pre-patch game that they were able to play and review and playtest. That being said, again, that's also an opinion on the piece that maybe some still didn't like.
Starfield sucks. End of conversation. The only good thing about it is that the ship combat took a lot of inspiration from Elite Dangerous, one of the only games with good ship combat. You can even see it in their promotional media where they were showing off a bunch of ships that look similar to a lot of the Elite Dangerous ships, like the Federal Corvette, the Type 9, and I think the Type 6 transport.
Go stack up your potatoes elsewhere, buddy, because this is not a misunderstood masterpiece. Let's keep going here. So we got, of course, our favorite catfish, though, Ascension, which is, of course, Andrea Piccinini, a.k.a. Joseph Cruz. Still putting up the charade, but not as hard as the female persona, but they still claim that. After they tried to hate on Starfield and Indiana Jones for graphics, now they are bragging about a PlayStation 5 exclusive with PS3 graphics. No wonder why actual PS users are choosing Sea of Thieves instead. Yes, because Sea of Thieves definitely takes the graphical prowess of current-gen consoles like the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S to a whole nother level.
In my opinion, I believe it does, because Sea of Thieves uses something known as a timeless art style. Regardless of what generation you're on, the game's gonna look good because it has a very, out there art style, and alongside that, with it going to Series X and S, there has been a noticeable graphical improvement of the game. Like, not really in the sense of, like, you're gonna notice, like, the models and all the assets gonna look a little bit cleaner, but, mainly when it comes down to visual effects, the game looks way better with a lot of the, benefits of a Series X, but at the end of the day, who cares about graphics? And by the way, to the Xbox fanboy that you're responding to, they're as dumb as a rock. Why are you comparing two different games to each other? These games have two different ambitions, two different ways that they want to achieve what they're doing, and the first thing you look at is graphics, because at the end of the day, who really cares about graphics? They don't mean anything. Because if your first goal is to talk about graphics instead of the gameplay, which I would argue is way more important, I don't know about you, but I think you lost your right to have an argument.
That's what we want to compare it to. You couldn't even do the dig right. You couldn't even get a better comparison to show. That being said, absolutely does this not look like a PlayStation 3 game. And honestly, if it did, that's a testament to PlayStation 3. Because PlayStation 3 had great graphics and great games that showcased those that could tap into the cell processor. Wasn't very many, but those that it could. And it ran really well with a lot of those games. Now, that being said, as you can see in the screenshot below, they pick and cherry pick what those screens will look like, so...
Okay, listen here, Xbold. I know your ass knows full well how you act on Twitter. You do the exact same thing that this person is doing. Do not claim to try and be a middle ground or anything else in between that. You do this. I've seen you do it on Twitter. You're doing it with the PS5 Pro shit, saying that PC and Xbox fanboys are upset. I don't think many of us really care, because, I don't. I don't use console anymore. I'm on the superior platform. Why would I care? So I might as well chuck this into the video at somewhere, and I might as well just do it now, but yeah, there are people going it. They're saying that this platform will be comparable to an RTX 4070, and, at the same price as a console right now, even though, you can see Proto-Rock here. He's doing the God's work right here by team-killing other PlayStation fanboys, because even he could admit that would be a pretty hefty price for a console if it had an RTX 4070 in it, and we all know you're not going to be paying $600 for that, so there you go, enjoy that.
Keep that in mind, but still, it does not look like a PlayStation 3 game, and this is just basically a salt post that they're upset that PlayStation gets yet another exclusive game to their ecosystem. Go figure. Let's continue.
I think the words you are looking for is timed exclusive. I'm sure you're well aware of that won't be on PlayStation as an exclusive for too long, but to each to their own. It's gonna come to another platform eventually. I mean, I'm not interested in it. I got my Ghost coming, so I'm pretty happy with that. Former PlayStation exclusive. Actually, real talk. The game's 8 weeks away to release on PC on May 17th, and yet they still haven't showed off the spec sheet and what type of PC you're gonna need to run the game. That's a bit concerning, don't you think?
5 Pro. So Cold Eastwood here. 16 T-flops equals $599 USD. I'm excited to see the AI frame and resolution generation. So clearly a salty post here that is absolutely incorrect, misinformation, assuming a price point. He has no idea this newly other reformed PC.
Bro, I thought I wasn't doing anything interesting with this video, but I guess wrong. It looks like he is gonna say something stupid. Yes, Colt Eastwood is spreading misinformation. He normally does that, but this isn't salt. He's just, giving you that generic response of, oh, I'm excited to see how it works. But then you had to say he's spreading misinformation about the price. It's kind of funny that you say that, yet you guys are going around saying that it's comparable to a high-end gaming PC. I don't know, seems like both you guys are spreading misinformation. Oh, that seems pretty interesting, doesn't it?
Totally not a paid shill or something like that. So the other one we have here, of course, which is kind of crazy. He's, out of all the games they have to play right now, he's reverting back to, as you see, had a great session of Fallout 76. Yes, he's reverting over to Fallout 76 because that's how dry their system is.
Bruh, I haven't played Fallout 76 ever since they removed legacies from the game. I kinda miss those things. They made a lot of money when you sold them on the black market. It's hard to believe that guns like that actually went for $300 real-world dollars. I'm still impressed that I was able to build my first gaming PC from that money. It's impressive. Hard to believe that shit was 2 years ago. I really have to question you, X-Bold. Why is this salt? He's just talking about playing a game, and then your first tweet, these don't even feel like salt. They're not really angry, they're not shit-talking PlayStation. They're just doing what they normally post. I would not consider anything that you've posted about Colt Eastwood to be salt. It just isn't salt. I don't know how you consider that to be salt. He's not shit-talking PlayStation. He's not comparing anything to PlayStation. He's just giving you lukewarm responses about, oh, look, I'm excited for the PlayStation. Now he's playing Fallout 76. Who really cares? Like, if you want actual salt, your first 2 tweets are a good example of salt, but these from Colt Eastwood? Definitely not.
Oh no, it's Alex, because he's never wrong, by the way, ever. It's been great. He's been deleting posts like crazy since his PlayStation Pro news has been breaking, but
If you just watch the new video from Alex that he posted about the PS5 Pro and all that stuff, he tells you exactly why he deleted his tweets. He deleted them because he was wrong, and he didn't want to give people the wrong information, because he would be spreading misinformation, and nobody wants to have the wrong information. He didn't delete it because you fanboys were so-called winning, or doing anything else. He said the wrong thing, and he's deleting it and correcting himself.
We have Michael T stating, when the wood hides the trees, with the Spider-Man gif, of course. So Alex posted, and the cycle never ends. PlayStation fanboys now think the PS5 Pro is equivalent to a 4080. Woolly Gamer here, a fine gentleman, goes on to state, you needed more than a 2070 to match the PS5 with Death Stranding, despite the modular level, the PS5 GPU being close to a 2070. Games like Death Stranding Director's Cut push close to the parity with a 3070 on a PS5.
They are nowhere close to a 3070. A 2070 maybe, but I still think that's not close, because if it was anywhere closer to that when it comes to utilization, and maybe it just comes down to good optimization, especially when you're comparing 2 different ecosystems. It's very hard to say whether or not this shit is true or not, which I don't think it is. It seems pretty wrong. To say that it's comparable to a 3070 is just not true. I don't think that's how it works at all. I'm sorry, Chief, but that's a bit... You'd be paying a lot more for a platform that has the same performance as a 3070. You wouldn't be paying the average, I don't know, $500 to $600 for a platform. It would cost at least $800 to $1,000, and probably even more than that.
First game after all. Links the YouTube piece of it, right? And then, as he quoted, because Nib is who he, I have some of the stuff, I just don't want to share it yet. Had an interaction with him. Oh no, it's Alex, and he deleted it because of that. Then came back around and said that wasn't the case, why, and came up with this other bull crap, because that's what he does, is he sits there and backtracks and tries to cover those tracks and stating he meant something else, or that's not what this meant. It's nonstop. So he would say wholly false equivalence, Batman, or equivalency, or whatever you want to state at that point. But he did say that. So that piece of context is missing, but just so you know, that's what that's pulling from is, yes, Alex deleted some stuff because he sounded like an idiot.
Are you telling me when you say something stupid, you shouldn't delete it or try to correct yourself? That seems like a pretty dumb thing to do, don't you think?
He wouldn't have deleted stuff if he didn't mess something up, evidently, right? So I thought that was a good gotcha moment for him because he seems like he never gets those, and more people need to hold him accountable. He's supposedly a main PC person, but he's never held to the action of his words. And he really doesn't know what he's talking about most of the time when it comes to that stuff. He does quick Google searches off the sides and requires other people from outside to feed him information. He naturally does not know a lot of this stuff.
You have to be joking. Have you never watched any of his PC port reviews? They're pretty good. He gives you a lot of information about the games, and he does it himself. Of course, they're not necessarily complex. He gives you a lot of stuff that I would argue is pretty good if you're someone on PC and are wanting to purchase said games on PC. A lot of those PC port reviews are quite useful to me if I'm looking at these games. I looked at Helldivers, I wasn't necessarily interested in it, my friend got it for me, and I knew that the game was going to be relatively okay when it performed. The only thing I had to keep in consideration was what PC I had, that's pretty much it, because we both have different PCs, and if he's getting good performance, which from what it looks like his PC isn't as cute and cuddly as mine, but guess what? It performed well on his system, and I'm assuming it will perform well on my system.
I'm sure he's going to find this video, he's going to pull from it, and he's going to do what he does and flip things. I don't care. Go ahead, do what you got to do. I'm posting the factual statements. Take from it what you will. What I'm stating is factually correct.
Yes, you state absolute facts, just like all the tweets that you show in this video that you say are correct, when you probably don't know what any of these people are actually talking about.
And as we continue to go on, we'll move over here. So speaking of the PC elitist side here, I did a quick post that was funny. It's just a meme. As you can see here, most PC dudes right now crying. And this meme's been around for a while. PC is better than PS5, but is your PC better than a PS5? Will Smith, oh my gosh, right?
Yes, my PC is far better than a PS5 and the supposed Pro version. I'm sorry to tell you that, I hope it doesn't hurt your feelings.
And then Reforge here, not being salty, I just wanted to post this up here stating his thoughts on there on the PS5 Pro. Why am I seeing so much negativity? Well, I just kind of wanted to answer that and state that, well, it's because of a lot of the PC elitists like we've been talking about in today's episode, as well as the Xbox fanboys very upset because Phil Spencer himself and others stated, we're not doing a mid-gen refresh anymore. If we do another console, it's going to be next-gen, period. So, they're going to have more FOMO. The Xbox fanboys will be. The PC elitists are upset because it's closer and closer to the rigs they currently have. And
it's really depressing that you think the PS5 is going to get you closer, and especially anywhere closer to PC gaming. It's not going to happen. As soon as the new series of graphics cards, CPUs, GPUs, all this stuff comes out, you fall further and further behind. And that's pretty much it for this video. I couldn't really find anything else interesting from this video to comment on, but that's it. There is a bunch of Twitter salt, but I can't be bothered responding to it. You get a video responding to one guy, and that's pretty much, I think, all you really need, as I'm sure every other fanboy creator will comment on those PlayStation fanboys. So, I'm just gonna leave it here. You all take care, see you all in the next video.